Pokemon Horizons episode 65 just aired and I am absolutely stunned by this one, dude. I am like utterly shocked, utterly flabbergasted. Like I really can't remember the last time the anime ever made me feel this much. And because of that, I already know this is going to be one of my biggest, longest review videos ever. But I can't help it, dude. Pokemon Horizons is just perfection, you know? I have so much to say. So let's just get into it now because I can't wait, man. The episode began with Liko and Amethio still trapped in the cave, and Terapagos tries to fight Amethio, but Amethio tells Terapagos that he means no harm right now. It's good to see Terapagos can see past its anger for Amethio and the explorers, and can actually trust him slightly at the moment, because Terapagos isn't stupid, you know, it knows Amethio isn't a threat, so it calms down. Meanwhile, Roy and Dot try to flee from Coral and Sidian, but Garganacl blocks Fuecoco and Quaxwell with Stone Edge, and then Glalie hits them with Blizzard. Garganacl's Salt Cure then hits Fuecoco, and Glalie's Ice Spinner hits Quaxwell, and Roy and Dot realise the explorers are trying to stall time with them, and that makes them think the explorers are going after Liko right now. Dot suggests targeting Garganacl's rock-type weakness, so Fuecoco distracts it while Quaxwell hits it hard with Aqua Break, but Garganacl then immediately heals up with Recover. Even though they kinda failed and Garganacl healed up immediately, I did really love to see Roy and Dot trying to battle strategically, you know, and working together too. Normally we only get like Liko and Roy team-ups, so seeing Roy and Dot teaming up was really refreshing, man. Meanwhile, Liko and her Pokemon are beginning to freeze in the cold cave, and Florigato tries to warm Liko up by bringing her shrubs from nearby. Simultaneously, Ceruledge tries to warm Amethio up with his flames, and it's really great to see how much Ceruledge cares about Amethio by warming him, you know? It's a very clear sign that Amethio isn't heartless and he does have a bond with his Pokemon. Liko pays attention to that too. Liko then brings the shrubbery and grass to Amethio and asks him if Ceruledge can set fire to it to make a fire for them and keep them warm. Amethio thinks a little bit about helping Liko in that way, and then he decides to do it. So that means they're all warm, gathered around a fire. Dude, I'm so glad that Amethio helped Liko despite seeing her as the enemy. Once again, it shows that he's not all bad, you know? He understands the situation they're in. And then Amethio finally begins the conversations we've all been waiting for the past 60 episodes between these two. I can't wait, dude! Amethio asks Liko why she hesitated when battling his terastallized Ceruledge earlier, and Liko admits that she failed her terastal training course despite trying so hard. She tells Amethio that the reason she wanted to learn how to terastallize is so she could connect more with Terapagos and protect it too, and then shockingly Amethio asks her whether she's really gonna give up like that. Is one roadblock enough for her to declare herself worthless? And man, I really did not expect this from Amethio. Liko then says she won't give up. She'll keep trying. But now she has a question for Amethio. Back when they battled Rayquaza all that time ago, why did Amethio save her life from the falling Draco Meteor? And dude, I'm so glad the anime remembered this. We all knew, we all said this would be a massive moment in their bond, and clearly the writers feel that too. Amethio brushes it off, telling her that he didn't save her, but Liko insists that he did save her. And Liko then says that the explorers are evil and trying to kidnap Terapagos and capture Rayquaza, but she says to Amethio that something feels really different about him. So why is he doing this? Why is he following the explorers in that way? Dude, Liko's really here with the hard-hitting questions. I'm so glad that she feels Amethio is different, you know? Amethio then admits to her that everything he does is for Master Gibeon, and he even admits that Gibeon is his grandfather, the leader of the explorers, and that Gibeon wants to reach the Rakua paradise, and he needs Terapagos and Rayquaza to do it. I can't believe Amethio feels ready to tell all this to Liko, you know? Amethio tells Liko that he wants to fulfill his grandfather's dreams and expectations. Liko is absolutely shocked by all of this information, and then Terapagos bursts into rage too, fully processing that Amethio is a descendant of Gibeon, but Liko calms Terapagos down. Liko then admits that just like Amethio is on a quest for his grandfather, she too is on a quest that she inherited from her grandmother. Her grandma Diana gave her her pendant with Terapagos in it, and Terapagos wants to go to Rakua so Liko will take it there. Amethio is really shocked that Terapagos is trying to reach Rakua too. He didn't realise. And then Liko says, you see, the two of us, Liko and Amethio, we're on the same path. They both want to reach Rakua for their grandparents. And finally, dude, finally they're having these conversations. Finally, man. But I'll talk about my thoughts on this entire scene once the scene has ended in a minute. Liko then straight up says that she's really happy they had this conversation, because she always thought of Amethio as just an evildoer who wanted to kidnap Terapagos. But now she knows that's not fully true. Amethio has his own path. He has his own aspirations. And Amethio agrees. He says that he only ever thought of Liko as the girl who has Terapagos. But now he understands that Liko has her own goal. And Liko says this is why talking to each other, hearing each other out, that's so much better than always fighting, you know? And then Amethio even says that Liko is right, dude. Okay, man, I need to rant right here, right now, because I genuinely do not have the words to even begin to describe how perfect this entire scene was. I genuinely can't explain it. It was everything I hoped for, dude. Everything I wanted between Liko and Amethio. It was everything I dreamed of, everything. Finally, man, the two of them got to be alone and actually talk things through together. They finally got the opportunity. That was one of the greatest scenes of the entire series. Maybe one of my favourite scenes of the past decade in the anime, bro. Seeing Amethio gradually letting his guard down around Liko, and seeing Liko gradually letting her guard down too around Amethio, and how that led them to realizing they're not so different, they're on a similar path, they don't always need to be fighting. This was everything, man. I genuinely can't stop smiling. I don't know if you can tell from my voice, but I'm so happy. Liko and Amethio, their bond, the gradual slow progression of it, it has been handled flawlessly all the way from the beginning up until now. And dude, I can't stress enough how the writers had to get this scene in this episode absolutely right, absolutely perfect. This had to be perfection for everything to fall into place, for the rest of Pokemon Horizons to be set up. And the writers absolutely nailed it, bro. I could not be any happier right now. But trust me, it gets much crazier than this later in the episode. So Amethio and Liko feel a breeze of wind, meaning there's a route to the outside in the ceiling of the cave, and they decide to work together to escape now that they trust each other a little bit more. First, they have to widen the opening in the ceiling, and then Amethio's Corviknight can fly them up there. So their Pokemon climb onto Corviknight's back, and then Florigato and Ceruledge begin attacking the ceiling. Meanwhile, Hattrem destroys the falling rocks to protect Liko and Amethio, and dude, I love to see them all working together, man. So, meanwhile, Roy and Dot are still being beaten up by Coral and Sidian. Their Pokemon, I mean, not Roy and Dot themselves. And Coral is about to do her usual and blow up the entire area with Galarian's self-destruct, but then, luckily, Grusha arrives with his Altaria and hits Galarian hard, stopping it. Grusha slides down the hill on his snowboard and insults Coral and Sidian. Also, can I just say that Grusha being on his snowboard despite his injury, could that be a sign that Liko's approach of doing your best even if you don't always win had an effect on him? Who knows, man, but that'd be really awesome if both Liko and Grusha learnt something from each other. Coral is ready to fight Grusha too, but Agate calls them and tells them to flee because their mission is complete. So Sidian and Coral leave, but Coral warns them that the next time she strikes, it'll be utter carnage. Bro, that's so dark, I can't believe she said that. And even more than that, I can't wait to see it happen. Okay, so before we continue, I just have one little thing to say about this entire Roy and Dot sequence. I absolutely adore this entire episode, it's incredible, but the one small issue I have with it is how Roy and Dot were handled. I understand there wouldn't have been time for a big battle featuring Roy and Dot, but seeing Roy and Dot, two incredible battlers who have grown so much during this story arc, and seeing them not being able to do absolutely anything against Coral and Sidian in this episode, and seeing them having to be rescued by Grusha, that's kind of doing them a little bit dirty in my eyes, you know? I wish that Roy and Dot got to show how strong they've become. I wish they could have put up a better fight, you know? But hey, everything else in the episode was perfect, so I can see past it. Roy and Dot thank Grusha for his help, and Grusha tells them they need to go and help Liko because Freed called him. But meanwhile, Liko and Amethio are climbing out of the cave ceiling to the outside world. And dude, Amethio reaches his hand down to Liko, and Amethio takes Liko's hand, and he helps her up out of the cave. Bro! If a picture can speak 1,000 words, then this shot speaks 1,000,000,000. I can't believe it. Seeing Liko and Amethio understanding each other so deeply, and seeing them having enough trust in each other to take each other's hand and help each other, this is everything I ever wanted from these two. This is perfection, I have no words. And that's not all, bro. Amethio then literally warns Liko. He tells her to watch out for Spinel because he'll target her again soon. The fact that Amethio warned Liko, the fact that he wants her to stay safe, bruh, that is absolutely everything. And dude, you will not believe what happens next. Liko then tells Amethio that the Rising Voltaclers and the Explorers share the same goal of reaching Rakua, so why don't they all work together? Why don't the Rising Voltaclers and the Explorers help each other rather than fighting each other? But Amethio says that can't happen. Yeah, the Rising Voltaclers and the Explorers share the same goal, but they follow completely different paths to get there. And to be fair, Amethio is totally right, dude. Yeah, they both want to reach Rakua, but the Explorers are so different to Liko's group. Like how Spinel was willing to use Rakurium on his Umbreon despite it causing it pain. But then Amethio walks away and says that he will follow his own path. That implies that Amethio already sees himself as being separate from the Explorers and the Rising Voltaclers. Yeah, he's part of the Explorers, but he doesn't see himself as being fully aligned with them. Amethio is on his own path to Rakua, and that is giving the beginning steps of a major anti-hero vibe, dude. An anti-hero who walks the path between good and bad. Kind of like what Star Wars fans always fantasize the Grey Jedi would be like. And I love that for Amethio, it's so perfect for him. So Amethio leaves, but then Grusha, Roy and Dot see Liko up ahead, and they dash up to her emotionally, so relieved that she's safe, and all their Pokemon do the same. It's really so sweet to see the bond their Pokemon has formed is in the spotlight too. I love that, man. Fried is watching from afar and realizes that he didn't even need to intervene at all, and that's absolutely perfect, man. I'm sure you guys remember that one of my issues with the earlier on story arcs was how every episode ended with Fried saving the day, so seeing the writers acknowledging that as part of his character and showing that Liko and co have grown so much that they don't need Fried to save them there every time anymore, that's so great, man. Later on, Liko thinks about Amethio's words to her about not giving up and how there's different paths for everything, and she says to herself that she won't give up and that she'll find another path because she failed her training course. And it's so good to see Amethio having such a big effect on her already, you know? Perfect writing as always from Pokemon Horizons. Liko then tells Fried about Spinel using the Rakurium as he did, and how Terapagos stopped it, and Fried is really intrigued. But before Liko, Roy and Dot head back to the Naranja Academy, Liko says they should all do what they planned to do. So they climb to the highest peak of the mountain in Paldea, and this scene was so sweet, dude, genuinely perfect. Such a great wholesome moment, and they take a group photo together, and yeah, it's true, this is my new desktop background. It's just too perfect not to, you know? But then in the biggest tonal shift ever, we switch to Amethio being summoned to talk to Gibeon and the other explorers later on, and when Amethio arrives, he demands answers from Spinel about what he did, but then Spinel begins ranting about how shocked he is that Amethio supposedly betrayed the explorers or whatever, and oh dude, I can see where this is going, because it's revealed that Spinel secretly recorded Amethio and Liko being friendly and helping each other, and then Spinel gave the recording to Gibeon and all the explorers. Amethio is absolutely shocked. Spinel and Agate then begin questioning Amethio about it, about why he'd help Liko, why he'd let her leave with Terapagos, why he'd betray the explorers like that, and Amethio realizes that Spinel totally set him up. He recorded it and presented it like Amethio betrayed him. But at least Coral Sidian and Hamber aren't fully convinced, but it's not enough sadly, because Gibeon's voice then plays over the speaker. Gibeon tells Amethio that he's disappointed in him, that he's shocked that he would stray from the explorers just like Amethio's father did, and then Gibeon tells Amethio he doesn't want to see his face again, and he commands Amethio to leave the explorers. I cannot believe it, dude. Spinel and Agate smile smugly knowing their plan worked, Coral and Sidian are surprised, but Amethio? Amethio is absolutely speechless. He is so shocked and horrified, it feels like his entire life is crumbling before his eyes. Everything he worked towards has turned to dust. He's been disowned by his grandfather. Amethio clenches his teeth and clenches his fist, and he just stares down at the ground in disbelief. And that's where the episode ended, dude. Bro, I am stunned right now. I am absolutely stunned, dude. I'm as speechless as Amethio is at the moment. Okay, sorry if I get a bit rowdy or a bit loud or whatever, but I cannot contain my excitement for this episode. This was everything! This was perfect, dude! Spinel is an absolute genius! First, he tried to unalive Amethio in the cave, but when that didn't work when Amethio escaped, Spinel's backup plan was to frame Amethio for betraying the explorers. And it totally worked! Amethio got kicked out of the explorers, man, I can't believe it! This was perfection in every definition of the word! Spinel once again proves himself to be the best villain ever. He knew how much Gibeon harbors resentment and rage towards his son, Amethio's father, for straying away from the explorers, so Spinel manipulating that insecurity that Gibeon has by making it look like Amethio is following in his father's footsteps. It was utterly genius. Obviously Gibeon would believe it and kick Amethio out, and I genuinely can't believe we just witnessed Amethio being disowned by his grandfather, kicked out of the explorers. This was insane, genuinely insane. Everything has been building up to this for so long, and now Amethio truly can become the anti-hero he's destined to be. He's no longer with the explorers, and he's not with the Rising Voltaclers either. Amethio is on his own path in the middle. He's not going to give up on reaching Rakua, we know that for sure. So now we're finally going to get anti-hero Amethio. Anti-hero Amethio as he tries to find his true path and what's right for him. This is everything I wanted, man. I am so happy and so excited and so hyped. And on top of that, I'm so sure that eventually that'll lead him to becoming closer and closer to the Rising Voltaclers and really beginning to realize where his true path lies. It's exactly like I said in my tweet yesterday immediately after watching the episode. Spinel doesn't realize that he's just made the biggest mistake of his life by getting Amethio removed from the explorers. Now Amethio has nowhere to go, and the only people he can turn to are the Rising Voltaclers, and they'll show him the kindness and respect that he never ever received from the explorers. And then when the time comes, Amethio will be right there on the front lines with Liko, Roy and the others to put a stop to Gibeon, Spinel and the explorers once and for all. I am certain that Amethio being an anti-hero will eventually join Liko and help her defeat the explorers and reach Rakua, you know? It feels so right, so fitting, and God bless the Pokemon Horizons writers for doing what we've prayed for all this time. This was perfect, utterly perfection. I don't have words, everything about it, you know? Liko and Amethio, their bond growing and progressing and changing, their conversation in the cave, the way it led to Amethio being kicked out of the explorers and everything. I don't know, dude. Everything the writers are setting up with Liko and Amethio, it's just perfect, man. This is what I needed from the Pokemon anime, dude. A well-written, mature, amazingly executed redemption story. The main villain slowly moving from villain to anti-hero because of the way he's treated by the other villains and by our heroes, being pushed away from the bad guys and pulled towards the good guys while he realizes his true morals and his true path. I love Pokemon Horizons so much. It's given me like everything I ever wanted, and I could not be any happier that it's finally happening. God bless Pokemon Horizons. God bless the writers, the animators. God bless anyone and everyone who had any part in making this series. And God bless everyone who stood by Pokemon Horizons and supported this series and watched this series from beginning all the way to now. I genuinely feel so lucky and so blessed that you guys have allowed me to cover this series and allowed me to build a new community through this series. Like we all know, we lost a lot of people in our community, in our subscriber base when Ash Ketchum retired, and a big part of me was scared that we'd never be able to get back to where we were, you know? A big part of me really was worried that Horizons wasn't going to have the love and the fan base that we had with Ash. But lately especially, it really does feel like we're getting back to where we were, bro. I can't remember the last time I was so excited to make review videos and talk to you guys in the comments and share how we feel about this amazing show and these amazing characters, and I really only get to do this because of you guys. So to the people that stuck by my channel from the end of Ash's series to now, and to the new fans, to the new Horizon viewers who weren't here during the Ash days, I just really from the bottom of my heart want to thank you guys. Thank you for sticking by my channel, thank you for allowing me to continue to make videos like this, and thank you for showing Pokemon Pokemon Horizons and my channel. So much love, you know? God bless everyone. And let me know your thoughts on the episode below. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. And yeah, sorry this review was so long and got a little bit off track, you know? This was really just one of those episodes that reminded me of how grateful and blessed I feel to be able to make these videos for you guys, you know? I feel so incredibly lucky, man. And be sure to join the Discord server too so we can talk about this more. On that note, thank you all so much for watching, and best wishes until we meet again.